or more notes. But again, usually it's only one. And sort of like a sequence, it has to be in the same voice. And the letter name must remain the same.
What does that mean?
Good question, Manny. Here we go. So I'm going to go from my E flat major key again. Use pretty much what I did before. I'm going to go a little bit farther. Okay. Chromatic modulation started right here. I have an E flat because of my key signature. I now progressed to an E natural and then continued on into the next key. So here's my chromatic modulation. So I had a 1 chord in E flat major. I had a 4 chord in E flat major. Now C major does not exist in E flat major. It would not be a major 6 chord. The C chord in E flat major is supposed to be a minor 6. So we know that something happened. Well, I went from E flat. So I took one, it was chromatic movement on one note. In the same voice, it's in the alto, and the letter name must remain the same, so it's E natural. Okay? And then, so then this is F minor. You go F minor, and then you go 5 to 1. Notice it's not a bracket, because it's not pivoting, it's not a common chord. You just place F minor there with the colon marks, and then 5 to 1 and continue on in F minor. And again, you need the rest of the context of the music to decide whether or not it really did stay in F minor. What would not work is if I did, let me try. Oh. How am I going to do this? I have to try another chord. Let's go. If I went D, let's go C minor. I think that'll work. brain is trying to find something where I'm going to go chromatically, but not on an E or a B. Trying to find. Oh, I know. What if we go to A flat major? A flat major, and I'm going to go. I'll go back to the C chord. C. Flat, G, and now I'm going to go to the D flat chord. I can't go. I don't know why my brain isn't allowing me to come up with an example for you right now. I'm trying to think of a situation where I can write something as like a D sharp or a C sharp to a D flat. I'll have one for you tomorrow. Right now my brain isn't coming up with an example and I'm not sure why. All right, but anyway, so that first example of the chromatic modulation was there for you. Another great example would be, look at the top of page 317, example figure of 15.3. Notice in the tenor, we're going from G major to E minor, and the modulation is from the D to the D sharp in the tenor. Now, if it went D to D sharp, but the D sharp was in the alto, then it would not be considered a chromatic modulation, because again, just like a sequence, it must occur in the same voice. It must occur in the same voice. And again, it says chromatic modulations often occur in passages where the two keys are involved are somewhat not closely related, and that is the reason why there's no common chord. And then the last type of modulation that we're going to talk about is a phrase modulation. And we had a phrase modulation in the Mozart Symphony we studied a couple months back. Phrase modulation is, let's say we have phrase A in the key of E flat major, and then you start your next phrase and you just start phrase B in the key of C minor. Remember in the Mozart Symphony how he did that? There were many phrases that all of a sudden he would go from G minor to B flat major or G minor to E flat major. Phrase modulations are usually used with keys that are not closely related. You just start your new section in a new key, and it can be any key that you want. However, usually when you do a phrase modulation, you usually have a key signature change. So you usually make modifications with your key signature when you do a phrase modulation. And the example they show you in the book on page 317 is it goes from E minor in the end of section, the one section, and it begins in C major in the next section. It says there are also other types of modulations, but for right now, for all intents and purposes, right now we're just going to study the pivot chord modulation, the chromatic modulation, and the phrase modulation. We're not going to worry about the other types unless Manny, of course, takes music theory too. Or all of you head off to college and take music theory again somewhere else. So, what I would like you to do is turn, please, to page 325. I'm just going to quickly check the schedule to see how much time we have left.
14.
Till 14. All right. Okay, on the top of page 325, let's talk about number 5. It says A major. What are the closely related keys to A major? A major has 3 sharps in it. So what would be closely related keys to A major? D major has 2 sharps. Good. What else? E major, great, because it has 4 sharps. F sharp minor, excellent. That's a relative minor to A major. B minor, that's why we memorize those circle of fifths. And C sharp minor, good. All right, how about number 8? We're in the key of B flat minor. B flat minor. B flat minor, what's its relative major? Nope, we're in flats. So think of it in D flat major. And D flat major has 5 flats, so what would be the other 2 closely related major keys? A flat major and G flat major. And what are the other 2 minors? Go down 3 half steps from their relative major.
F.
Not F flat, F minor for the A flat major. And E flat minor for the G flat major. All right. Then, turn the page to page 326. Look at number 1. It says, what type of modulation do we have in number 1? So your options are phrase modulation, chromatic modulation, and pivot chord modulation. Find the first accidental. What is it? G sharp, where is it located? In the bass. Now go back 1 chord from that. And what do you see? G natural in the bass. So what kind of, yep, it's a chromatic modulation. Do you see how to spot that? So the modulation type for number 1 would be chromatic modulation because we went from G natural in the bass on chord number 2 to G sharp on chord number 3. Now here's the question. What key did we start in and what key did we go to? What does our key signature say for number 1? We're in D major for the first 3 chords. So we'd have a 1, and a 4 chord in D major. So you would do D major, 1, and then the next measure is a 1 and a 4.